Welcome back to the channel. My name's Blake, and today we're going to talk about the infinite banking concept and whether or not everyone can truly become their own banker. The first thing I think we need to talk about is our Nelson Nash's book, Becoming Your Own Banker. The first rule that he listed in his book is long-term planning, long-term thinking, long range. What does that mean? What does that look like? Well, have we ever sat down and thought about and taken time to look at what our lives might look like in 5, 10 years, 20, or 30 or 40, or even after we're gone? I think that's somewhat of a novel concept, a novel idea, is to really be thoughtful about what we want our lives to look like and do that early enough to where we can put a plan in place and actually achieve that goal. And it doesn't have to be a number, of a certain amount of money in a bank account or a certain amount of assets, but more like, what kind of life do you want to live? What kind of life do you want your family and your loved ones to live? What do you want to be able to provide? Long-range thinking requires us to be very thoughtful and be very purposeful about how we want to live our lives. And I think it's easier when we're younger to say, you know what, I have time to do that. Right now, I'm just going to live a little bit, have fun, which there's nothing wrong with that. We've all done that. But the earlier that you sit down and decide what you want to do with your life and how you want that to look like, whether you're single, you're married, you have children, or maybe your children are grown and you're at a different phase of life where maybe you're looking at grandkids. It's always a good idea to sit and take inventory of what your life is and what you want it to be. That's long-range thinking. That's thinking about possibly what your life is going to look like, but also what's life going to look like after you, and what's life going to look like for those that are going to come behind you, and what can you do to help people and to help your family live the kind of life that you think they should live. So long-range thinking is something that might take time, and a part of long-range thinking in the book is this idea of saving versus investing. Because if you look at saving a little bit and maybe letting compound interest work for you over a long period of time, you typically achieve better results financially than when you might take on some risky investment or something that you truly didn't understand that just had an advertised rate of return that seemed very appealing and something that everyone else might be doing, something that you may have seen someone else have success with, right? Whether or not they had an expertise in what they were doing or they got lucky, we don't really know sometimes, but we are still aspiring to achieve a goal that maybe we really don't understand. But if we just saved money, something that we haven't been taught to do, something that we haven't been encouraged to do, because there's this idea of inflation and the fact that you can't just put money aside and just leave it there, because in 5, 10, 20 years or more, it's just going to continue to erode and be devalued and become worth less. That's actually true. But the other side to that coin is, do you know that people have been saving money for decades and even centuries using whole life insurance with a mutual company that pays you a dividend? People used to use this vehicle of accumulating wealth to live their lives. They used it as the place where they would store their money, they would store their wealth, and they would get some growth, but also get protection, and also have a legacy that they can leave their families when they die. That's a risk of loss that we are taking from ourselves. The insurance company's taking that on for us, and they're going to pay our families for that when we experience that loss. That's ultimately what life insurance is. So that's a part of the long-range thinking. It's not just how much you need to earn and how much you need to save, but is there a way to do that that might give you additional benefits you may not have known that you could achieve, and also leave the family the legacy that you really wanted to, or be even better than you thought? Typically, the results of putting a plan like that in place for someone that does that for 20 or 30 years are far better than they thought. And they actually see the results being better than they thought within a few years, because it actually becomes easier to save when we just get started. So I ask you, Are you currently saving any money today? If you are, great, keep doing that. But the idea of becoming your own banker is not a short-term plan, that's a long-term one. And if you can imagine yourself doing something in a very disciplined way, in a very safe way, in a very dependable way, in a very stable way, with a company that's been doing it for over 100 years, over 120 years, I would encourage you to continue seeking out this idea of infinite banking and the process of becoming your own banker. So as an authorized practitioner with the Nelson Nash Institute, I can help you do that. But there's a lot of education, and I love to educate people about that because it truly is life-changing. Everyone can achieve it. The question is, are you willing to put in the effort to learn and then implement and stick by the plan that you set out and took time to put in place? Are you able to do that? And then are you able to just let it do what it's going to do and go live your life? And not be checking account statements and not be worried about whether or not it's going up and down like a normal investment would, because this is saving. We're not talking about investing here. You don't have risk associated with whole life insurance policies with mutual companies. You have guarantees and the account values go up. They don't go down because your death benefit is increasing. And the cash value that you see has to increase because the death benefit's going up. That's the kind of stuff I want to teach you. And that's what the process of becoming your own banker is about. It's about educating ourselves. It's about being honest with where we are in life and putting a plan in place to save money, to not spend so much if we're not saving, right? To look at how much we're spending in interest payments with the different forms of debt that we might have and try to get those debts paid off so we can save even more, right? It's a very foreign concept, I get it. It took me a couple of years to truly understand it. And I want you to know that I get it, but there's a way to do it, and there have been thousands of people that have been successful with this, and I want you to be one of them. So if you've got a question or a comment, leave it in the comment section below this video. This is a great community. It's people that are willing to listen and learn and not be judgmental. And I'm also going to respond to all the comments and all the questions that are there. And ultimately, I'd like to get in touch with you or you get in touch with me. I have a website that'll be listed in the description of the video as well that has a bunch of resources for you to continue learning. So I would encourage you to check that out. I hope you got a bunch of value from this video. I've enjoyed making it for you. I enjoyed this conversation, and I want to have it with you on a one-on-one basis if we can. So reach out, and I hope this gave you a lot of value again, and I look forward to talking with you soon. Thank you.